And from here, we bring our hands together into prayer pose. We bow towards our heart and all the hearts in the space. Taking a moment to be with our breath. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mitroma Amritangamaya Aum Shanti Shanti Shanti. Inhale deeply. And exhale. Good. And then we slowly open our eyes. And Shelley, I just want to address something. So we will not move our neck today, but we move the arms around. So I want you to be careful with your left side, right? It's your left side. So you can definitely do everything with the right arm. Yeah, that will inform your left side. But the tissue underneath, yeah, that needs some time for healing. Yeah? Okay. So we want to place our hands onto our head, the fingertips pointing back. Bring the elbows just out as much as we can and exhale, elbows together. Inhale and open and exhale. And have the heels of your hand at your temples. Our breath is through your nostrils. Good. Now we bring the arms out to the side, palms facing forward. Bring the elbows as far back as you can. Exhale, and the forearms touch in front of you. You look into your palms. Inhale. Exhale. And feel how the chest is opening, how you slightly lift your diaphragm. So this is more a slower movement. And breathe into the 4 chambers of your heart, into your 2 lungs. Last 3. And then we bring our fingertips in front of our shoulders, thumbs into the back. We inhale. See that your elbows touch in front if possible. Bring the elbows above your ears. Exhale, open mouth, bring them around. Inhale, nose. Exhale, open mouth. And now we're lifting our diaphragm a little bit more, which is helpful for all our digestive organs. moving through our shoulders, creating internal space. Get a little bit more. And create a lot of flexibility in our shoulders. Last 3 rotations. Always remember, I think that's important for us to know, when our elbows go higher than our ears, that impacts actually the health of, positively, the health of our stomach. Good, bring the elbows out to the side, keep your hands here. Now inhale, have the back of your hands touch. Exhale, bring your elbows down. Inhale up, exhale down. Now we have more focus on our rib cage. You feel that, how that's widening on your inhalation. Last 30 seconds, not for too long. I know for some of you this is getting a little hard, and this is a good one to do on a daily basis until it gets easy. Then you're through. Good, last one. Rest your hands on opposite shoulders. Inhale over to the left. Exhale right. Keep your sit bones connected to the ground beneath you. So the head is not moving here. The head is just staying in alignment. We're moving from the base, going from side to side. Deepening now our breath, the length of our inhalation and exhalation without any pressure. Just seeing if we can extend it a little longer. That means we are moving a little slower. When you exhale and you go slowly to the right, you really squeeze your liver. One more time. Good, and then we come to center. Our left hand slides onto our chest. We spread our fingers. Right hand, all the fingers go down except our index finger, our Jupiter finger. And the arm is fully relaxed here. We take 4 segmented inhalations through the open mouth and 4 segmented exhalations through the open mouth. We go like Inhale deeply through the open mouth. Suspend your breath. Hold the breath in for 15 seconds. Contain it. And when we exhale, we relax our hands onto our knees. So in this time where the virus is attacking mainly our bronchial and our lungs, that's a good breath. If you feel something came into you that doesn't belong there, do this for 11 minutes, seriously, to get any dis-ease out as fast as possible. Okay, now I'm giving over to Nirmala.
Okie dokie. Yeah, so when you said that, Siddhi, getting anything that comes into us that doesn't belong, I thought, wow, it's not just a germ, it's not just a virus, it's anything. It's an energy from someone, it's or from our surroundings, it's an attitude that we don't like that maybe has come actually from us inside out. Anything that we don't want, that we would like to expel from our energetic and physical body. That's a beautiful practice. I think we could probably all use it regularly. So good morning, beautiful ladies. I just am so happy to see faces that haven't been here and then are returning, and it's just so nice to see a group of women gathering regularly to journey on this spiritual path that is such a deep and prevailing piece of ourselves that we long to tend. And we do in so many different ways. I love hearing what you're all doing. Betty's walk in the morning, and each person is bringing their own piece of how they have found this path to be evolving and being illustrated in their life. And we can pick up the pieces and listen to those other possibilities and include them in our lives. And it deepens us and broadens us. And it's really, really yummy. So today I want to start with a Joseph Campbell. I love Joseph Campbell's writings, with a quote from Joseph Campbell: "Just say yes to the whole catastrophe." Just say yes to the whole catastrophe. So imagining that our life, the embodied form, life of any sort, whether you look at life of vegetation and what it has to endure with the winds and hurricanes and whatever is coming through, it's not just us as living beings that have to withstand the external world. It's all living sentient beings have an external threat at all times. It's the way that we live. It's how we evolve. It's how we enliven ourselves, is through the understanding and the experience of this catastrophe that's around us all the time. It's the chaos that gives way to new form. And that in the Eastern tradition, nothing can happen until you break down the old form in order to get a new form, whether it's an evolutionary new form or it's a situational new form. Nothing can happen until we break down the old. And then it's reassembled in beautiful ways, sometimes leaving out pieces, sometimes adding in new pieces, but it's reconfigured. And so when we were talking in our check-in time about change and how disruptive change can be and how we can long for other times, maybe simpler times or more integrated times in our life, things were happening in a way that was very pleasing to us. And then we go through a phase of that change where everything has shifted and we sort of go, do I try to reconstruct what was? Can I reconstruct? Do I have the power to do that? Or do I allow what's new and coming in to take a different form? And often the edgy piece, the piece where we're feeling really off center, is the transition. And once we settle into whatever the new configuration is, then we get used to that. And that edginess is not so prevailing. I have felt a lot of that lately. Just a little sense of being off balance. Like there's something that's changing. And for me, I can look externally and say, well, of course, COVID's changing everything. Our whole life order is changing. And that's a piece of it. But also I'm changing. And so the integration of my changes with what's happening externally and in my family and in my community, all of that impacts my stability, how I feel. And it's just interesting to watch that and allow that you might be feeling a little off center. It's okay. You know, it can be related to many things. It can be related to significant events in your life. It can be related to external movement. It can be related to our health. As we're aging, our health is changing and we're having to look at different aspects of our health. All of that is a piece of transition. We are changing every second and there's no stopping it. It's a train that's on the track and it's going and there's no stopping change. So how do we embrace that? How do we set up our internal and our external structure such that change can be invigorating rather than overwhelming? And I think at this time, we've been given as a humanity, we've been given an amazing opportunity to look at changes in our relationships with self, with other, in our families, in our communities, in this country, in the cosmic universe, and in our relationship with the environment. Never has there been in our lifetime a time that's been so open for us to embrace change and for us to look at what are the new paradigms that are being called for. So if we just look at one piece of that, if we look at COVID as this wave that's coming through us, and I don't know about you guys, but I kind of thought, well, we've got to, you know, people are getting vaccinated and we're taking off our masks and we're somewhat getting back to our usual state. And now we have another little blip, another little piece of the wave, another little depression of the wave. And I think that that took me by surprise. And I was like, okay, so now we're back to, you know, many of my family members live in LA. They're back to masking again. And the restaurants and things that were opening inside are closing again. And so there's another shift that we're having to do, which feels a little bit like we're moving backwards instead of forwards. And there's a rawness in that. There's a rawness in the ups and downs of how we relate to the external world as it's presenting itself. And that rawness is it's the petri dish, it's the ripeness, it's the possibility for us to change the paradigms and the way that we see the world, the way we're experiencing the world. You have to get raw enough to be willing to actually shift and see. Otherwise, usually we just have built up our capacity to be able to hold on. Even when things get disruptive around us, we hold on. But we're in a situation now as a universe, as a cosmic universe, to be able to shift. And so I think this is the rawness of this time allows us to imagine into different paradigms. So Siddhi and I have been talking about that and just talking about our own practices around that and what we're doing and how we're supporting ourselves. And we thought it might be kind of fun if our Sangha, took a 28-minute per day, 28-day challenge. So we have created and it's not where we're gathering. This can be done 28 minutes in your day, anytime you wish. It's always nice to start in the morning with something, but it doesn't matter when you fit it in. We will be sending out instructions for what that 28 minutes looks like. And it's a combination of practices that can solidify us in our grounding so that we can then venture out into different paradigms and imagine different ways of constructing our life. But it's also fun. We want to talk about incorporating some creativity. Most of us are really creative. You're writers and you're singers and you're artists and you're teachers and you're doing all these really beautiful creative things. But sometimes we look at those creative outlets as efforts of ours rather than being this juice that we're using to create a new paradigm for ourselves. So we're going to use some creativity and some yoga pieces and breathing pieces and eating, looking at just the wholeness of us in 28 minutes a day to be able to set up a different paradigm. So I invite you to join us. And you can let me know if you're interested in our chat section, or I'll be sending out our weekly email and you can respond to that and let me know that you'd like to join. But we'll be sending it out to everyone. So anyone who wants to jump on, we're going to start on Monday, which is August the 2nd, and we'll go through August the 29th. And use August as a month to just maybe find a different footing, find a different way for you to be seeing the world. We want to change our perspectives as often as possible. We want to be able to broaden so that when we look at the same, I'm looking at my desk right now and what's on it. And when things stay in the same place on my desk, I tend to not notice them. We want to move things around and maybe just allow not chaos, but a reorganization. When we move things around in our life, then we start to put them back together in a different puzzle. And the outward expression of the puzzle can be different. So I want to rearrange. So we're going to talk about some of the things that might be included in this, not the specifics, but what are the aspects that Siddhi and I feel are things that we personally would like to tend to as often as possible. So what does this birthing look? This birthing is a new relationship with the sacred. How do we imagine that we are sacred? And how are we relating to the sacred pieces in our life, the pieces inside and externally? So what does it mean to sit in divine council? How is it that as women, we invite in the divine council all the time? Because we are divine, we're the divine feminine. Are we inviting that and recognizing that and exploring that all the time? And what does that mean? We're going to look at things like intentional meditation, prayer, sangha, writing, creating, connecting with the divine in intentional consciousness. So much of what we do is unconscious. We're doing it, but we're not doing it from a place of, I'm choosing to do this activity because it is serving my divine being. And when I look at an activity as in service of, it has a different resonance with me. Even though it might be the same activity I did yesterday, when I look at it as being part of the divine expression of who I am, it's feeding me, then I can look at any task or any activity or any creative endeavor differently. So we're going to start looking at the pieces that you probably already include in your life and imagine having a perception of them as being this divine food, this essence of juiciness that's feeding you, not just something you do. It is just true that the universe conspires with us to manifest our highest self. And when we are in this place of acknowledging and recognizing that which is already present in our lives as being divine, there's something new comes out of it. We start to see revelation in ways we didn't see it before. So it's all how we attune the way we are in relationship with that which is in our life. It's not constantly having to bring in new. It's how are we attuning to that which is. So we're already doing a lot of those things. We're already in a sangha. Many of you are already doing beautiful creative endeavors, but we're going to talk about looking at them through a lens of them being the food and the sustenance that you're using to be in relationship with your divine self. Another thing that we'll look at over these 28 days is the cleansing of our entirety. It's a really beautiful time, not as a daily cleanse where you're taking on eating certain things or not having certain things, but looking at the cleansing of this entity as both habits, both belief systems, both what is familiar and comfortable for us and how do we change it. Like one of the things that I like to do is to, when I'm driving someplace that I go regularly, is to take a different path. Instead of going the same normal route that I take a new way. If you're doing a walk it differently. Have this as an opportunity to venture beyond what the grooves are that we've created by the habits that may be really good habits. They're not bad habits. It's just that they're habits. So how do we bring them the same thing, but bring it in with a different level of exploration? So going a different route, or eating your meals differently. Maybe you set up where you have your larger meal in the middle of the day instead of in the evening. Maybe you go from doing 3 meals a day to doing 2 meals a day, which is very common in Eastern traditions. Just different ways. Maybe you eat your dessert first and then you have the rest of the food. How do we just switch it up so that we may return to the same pattern? We may decide, oh, I really prefer it being this way. But most of us don't explore our preferences beyond setting a pattern. So once we decide I like it this way, then I just keep doing it that way. And I don't reevaluate or question or explore, could I do my day differently just for fun? Just because when I do it backwards, I have to look at it differently. And that every day, we want every day to be an expression and an experience of aliveness. So it isn't, we don't necessarily have to bring in more things. We just can rearrange. So the idea of disillusion, dismantling the pieces of your life, putting them on the table and then picking them back up in a different order. Maybe you don't even drop something. Maybe you do. But it's not always about dropping or adding. It can be about reordering. Reordering our lives in a way that is stimulating to us. I want to be stimulated every day, alive and vital. And habits and patterns do not allow that to be as palatable to me, because I go on rote. If it's the same thing I do each day, I stop thinking about the steps of it and I just do it. I don't want to be rote in anything in my life, anything. It's a time for us in this sort of evolution of self that's happening without our permission. It's happening in the world right now. It's time for us to drop self-judgment. There's no usefulness in self-judgment. Is there usefulness in reevaluating yourself? Yes, but judgment, it holds that, just the word holds that sense of there's something I am that is not already good. So dropping self-judgment, and along those same lines, dropping all judgment. Love does not know judgment. Love does not know judgment. It might know a perception of maybe I can be a part of a change. I can contribute a different viewpoint. That's very different than judgment. Looking at how we are holding what we do, what we have done, our past, our present, in any level of judgment is withholding love from ourselves. And I think all of us on some level do judge how we eat, how we behave, how we've responded in a situation. Some level of a small piece of judgment is held against ourselves. We've talked about that as being really unhealthy, really being self-violent in many ways. So it's a time now for us to embrace this beauty that we are, the divine essence that we are. And that's external beauty. We're talking about different oils to use on our skin and in our health routines, but it's also an internal beauty. And I don't mean health about what we eat as internal. Of course, that's important. How we use supplements and what we put into our body is who we are. That is true. But there's an internal beauty that is the acknowledgement of the beauty that we are. That's the acknowledgement of the juiciness that we are. And that internal beauty shows up in a vitality and in a brightness in us. So it's not just our physical health, it's an energetic health that's happening inside of us that flows over. It's the flowing of us, the vibrancy of us into the world. And it's time for us to look at little ways to tweak that and to give that a little more of a boost. We're going to look at that in our 28 days. It's time for us to reclaim our warrior qualities. Warriors are not fighters. Warriors are carrying qualities of integrity, consistency, creativity, and ultimately love under the umbrella of tenacity and perseverance. A warrior persists until all aspects of creation are honored. And we are warrior women. We are absolutely warrior women. How do we honor that journey and that responsibility that we have to bring that warrior voice into the world? And often women do not express our voices and our actions as strongly as we might wish that we were into the world. So we're going to talk about claiming and reclaiming the warrior qualities that we carry. And finally, the embracing of the divine feminine. That's been an underlying theme for us for all these months that we've gathered, that the deep feminine is the mystery of consciousness. She with a capital S, who is life, is longing for our transformation. That essence of divine feminine is compelling us to move forward in the transformation and in the advancement of the soul experience that we're having. The divine feminine is the catalyst underneath of that. And so how do we honor that and nurture that regularly? We're going to talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to leave you with one of the Radiant Sutras, my favorite book for inspiring me. And then we'll start on Monday. I'll send out details, and those of you who would like to join the 28-day, then you will. So the Radiant Sutra says, live for a few days in the meditation. I am immersed in the flame of time, the flame of love, the flame of life. The universal fire flows through me. Step into that fire wholeheartedly, starting with the big toe, then surrendering everywhere. Only the not self, which doesn't exist anyway, burns away. Attend to this continually and awaken into tranquility. Your essence is renewed in the flame, for it is the flame and knows itself as flame since the first heartbeat of creation. So give yourselves up, ladies, to 28 minutes for 28 days to the flame, and let's see where we are in 28 days.
Thank you. So one part of the 28 days is to keep our arms overhead. Yeah, and we will do that in increments, and we will do it slowly. But as I shared in our beginning, when our elbows are higher than the ears, you create health for your stomach. And that's often an issue in our society. So we will start out with 3 minutes. When your fingers are interlaced and the tip of your thumbs are touching, you're stimulating your lung meridian. That means you're supporting your lungs. So in this posture, you're lifting automatically your diaphragm. That means the digestive organs have much more space. Your breath will become more fuller and richer. And that's really what we want to enhance in the 21 days, that you feel like you are more in your body. You're filling out your, I call it like the body glove, and you're breathing into this glove and it becomes bigger and bigger. Yeah. So we want it, and we just do 3 minutes today. We interlace our fingers, the tip of your thumbs are touching, pointing backward. You place your hands onto your crown first. Now I want you to bring your elbows out to the side. Yeah, there's mostly like 1 inch or 2 inch you can go back. And then you lift your hands 4 to 6 inches above your crown. And you keep your eyes closed and you just do long, slow, deep breathing. You might want to count like 5.5 counts in, 5.5 counts out. That will bring you totally into balance. And then just be with what is. Sitting in your own presence, creating your own healing. Allowing the healing force to rise from the base of your spine all the way up through your spine to the top of your head. You're stimulating your parasympathetic nervous system. There is a lot going on in this simple sitting. There's a lot of healing happening in the unseen. We are at 1 minute now. Experience how your breath becomes slower and deeper. We are at 2 minutes. Just 15 more seconds to go. Now we're taking all a deep inhalation. We suspend our breath, containing and concentrating the energy that we activated within us. Letting it circulate, going to the places where healing is required. And then we exhale, we gently separate our fingers. We slowly sweep through our auric field out to the side. We're bringing our hands onto our knees or thighs, palms facing upward, eyes stay closed. I want you to observe your next inhalation and exhalation. Please feel into your shoulders, your arms, your forearms. And then we just want to sit a minute in silence here. And from this place of stillness, we bring our palms together. Inhale deeply. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you so much. So going into a 28-day challenge is also going consciously into a 28-day of self-care. So I want you to look at this as a self-care project. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Bye.